Hello everybody, it is Al Knight, it is Brony time, and welcome back to Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. Now when we last left off, we learned how to do footprints finally without the game crashing. And we learned of the presence of a third person, and through that investigation it led us back to the Maractus clinic, where there seemed to be some sort of a break-in going on. Through that, we found two toe prints that were exactly the same, a pair of sandals, a pair of slippers, and also Waukie's medical chart. And of course, the medical chart revealed that Waukie is pretty much a dead man walking. He is going to die, and there's no way to save his life, which is very dark for Ace Attorney. I didn't know they were gonna go there. But we're pretty convinced now that the one who actually did it was Tiala. She was there in the park that night, the slippers confirmed it, and now we are about to face her down in the courtroom. And we will reveal that she is, without a doubt, Maractus's killer. And it makes sense, she worked at his clinic, she may have had some personal vendetta against him, but I'm also convinced that she's been using Waukie for her own means, and that she doesn't actually want to marry him or fall in love with him. Or heck, maybe I'm wrong and she does love him and she did it for him, but it was the day the family health checkup results came back. When Waukie found out that Dr. Maractus had lied, he flew into a rage. "I'll teach him," he said. He took one of the family's pistols, and you already know what happened that night. I just don't see how anyone but Waukie could have done it. So the pistol did belong to the Kataki family, then? Yes, with regards to this, an investigation is underway at the Kataki mansion on charges of the possession of illegal firearms. And the bullet that took the victim's life, was it? Fired from the pistol the defendant procured? Yes, this has been proved. How can you prove something like that? Bullets carry marks from the barrel that fired them, called rifling marks. Rifling marks? Think of them as being a gun's fingerprints, left on every bullet it fires. And when did you first hear about Waukie's plan? It was the day of the murder. I should have stopped him. I just didn't think he would actually do it. Very well. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Yeah, I gotcha. I know you're a freaking liar. You were there, you were the one who did it. Waukie couldn't do it, so you did it. How can you say that for certain? How? Herr Forehead, you will refrain from badgering the Fraulein. It was the defendant, Waukie, was it? Who took the pistol from his home. We know this for a fact now. I suppose we do. So how could anyone else have used this pistol to shoot the victim? They could not. Simple logic, ja? Ja, it's not ja, it's ja. That does seem to be the case. Does the defense have anything to say regarding this point? Could someone else have used that pistol? Based on your testimony, there was clearly another. One other person had access to that pistol. What's this? Interesting. Let's ask the defense then. Tell the court who this other person who had access was. Well, of course, I mean, you, Miss Tiala. Me? But why? You were quite clear when you told the court. You heard about the pistol from the defendant on the day of the murder. In other words, you knew what he was planning. Let me get this straight. You intend to tell us that this lady stole the pistol from her fiancé and killed a man in cold blood on his behalf? I've heard of people doing strange things for love, but this does seem a bit unfathomable, to be sure. I'm all for romance and for supporting a partner in life, to be sure, but I think I would hesitate at murder. I'd hope you do more than hesitate. But what if a different connection could be proven? A connection between the witness and the victim. We might find that she had a personal motive beyond wanting to help her fiancé. That would put things in a slightly different light. What possible connection are you suggesting here? You know what I'm starting to think? I'm starting to think that the police never looked inside that safe. I have evidence showing connection between the witness, Miss Tiala, and the victim. She was an employee at his clinic. That looks like a medical chart found inside a safe at the Maractus clinic. I'd like to draw the court's attention to the names written on the chart. What? Miss Tiala, why is your name on this chart? Well, care to explain the meaning of this, Miss Tiala? I'm not sure what you mean by meaning, Mr. Justice. A warm little fiancé just froze over. I was on the staff at the clinic until half a year ago. It was boring, so I quit. That's all. Is there a problem with that? Miss Tiala! You testify that you had no connection to the victim. And I don't. Now. Now? I quit half a year ago, didn't I? So there's no connection. Let me guess, you're the kind of guy who can't rest until he knows every last detail of his girlfriend's past. Am I right? That's not true at all. I embrace the ones I love, past flaws and all. There's no connection now. Doesn't fly in a court of law. Doesn't fly. She's one tough nut. She probably feels right at home with the Kitakis. You left your job at the Maractus clinic, true, but you remain connected somehow. Very well, Mr. Justice. Show us evidence that proves the witness is still connected to the Maractus clinic. These sandals. And they have your toe print. These sandals were found in the Maractus clinic lobby. They're yours, aren't they? Ah! Well, who knows? I'm sure there are lots of people with those sandals. So sorry, Fräulein, but your act isn't working. Your moments of hesitation just now cost you. What's with you? I thought you were on my side. Perhaps you are unaware that toes leave toe prints? A simple analysis of these sandals will reveal all. Well, now we see your true colors. I was wanting to cooperate with you from the beginning. I just wanted you to help get Walkie back on the straight and narrow. This court thinks you need to worry less about Walkie and more about yourself. Sounds as though we need to hear a bit more about your story. Your sandals were found in the entrance to the clinic, which means you went there on the day of the murder. Well, there's little point in denying it. Very well, the witness will tell us about this visit. Why did you go to the Maractus clinic that day? I did go to the clinic that day. My first time in half a year since I quit in January. I went to warn him, after all. I knew Walkie had the pistol. The doctor always was a timid man, too timid to admit his own mistake. Why else would I have gone? I'm not hiding any dark secrets. I want to tell him to be careful, as an old friend. That's bullshit. By mistake, you mean? The mistake we heard about from the defendant. The botched operation. He was a timid, small man, but I never wished him harm. I just thought I should let him know, you know. That does make sense. Yes, but there is still one thing which does not. What's that, Prosecutor Gavin? The sandals left in the lobby, of course. You can assume she wore these sandals to the clinic, yeah? Then why did she not wear them home? If it were me, I would have worn them home. I would have worn those sandals home, too. So why were the sandals left behind? I keep pointing out the contradiction before me. There's probably a good explanation for this, right, Miss Tiala? Say, for instance, there happened to be a similar pair of sandals there that you wore home by mistake. Actually, that's right. I'm impressed, Mr. Gavin. Oh, it's nothing. There is, after all, no other possible explanation. Yeah, forehead? What the? No fair! He's filling the holes in her testimony. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Okay, there's no way. This doesn't make any sense because he already knew. He signed the chart. So, what?
Objection!
This chart was found inside a safe in the doctor's office. Yes. Why would this one chart be in that safe? Miss Tiala, you know why it was, don't you? Mind filling me in? Dr. Maractus didn't have the leisure of making mistakes. That's why he wrote up a false report and kept truth locked away. Bad there, Doctor. And this is where you come in, Miss Tiala. The nurse who filled this chart was you, which means you knew about Waki's failed operation. Interesting. You were in the same position as Dr. Maractus. Kind of makes it hard to claim no connection, doesn't it? You're bold for a novice, I'll give you that. Mr. Justice, you must know I was only a nurse. The doctor is responsible for the chart's contents. This chart business seems to be quite important. Please amend your testimony accordingly. Too bad, little attorney. Oh! We got the gimmick. My bracelet's reacting again. What is it, Apollo? I felt my bracelet tighten just now. Your bracelet? Just like yesterday, like you said. When a witness is unsure of something, their nervous habit gives them away. But I can't see anything, Apollo. Eh? And what's my bracelet reacting to? Wait, maybe. Yes, that has to be it. What has to be it? Your senses, Apollo. They must be sharper than mine. Huh? I can't see it, but you can sense it. I don't know about that, Trucy. I don't have some kind of special power or anything. Listen to me, Apollo. There's a weak point somewhere in Miss Tiala's testimony, but we don't know what her nervous habit is. Well, then what do? You have to perceive it yourself, Apollo, with your eyes and your senses. Then it's up to me and my bracelet. I don't know why, but the bracelet helps. Somehow, touching it helps me focus. Let's give it a shot and bring down that testimony. Gotcha! Why go to the clinic for a half-world chart now, you ask? But you know why. You would go now, don't you? I don't know what you're talking about. It was quite clear, Miss Tiala, you have a nervous habit. The moment you said the word now, you used your right thumb to fiddle with your ring. What? She was unsure. I saw it. Now, that's the key word. Chart was a part of your past. It is a clear and present threat. That's ridiculous. Why, if that were the case, I would have had 6 months to do something about it. Indeed. Eh? Which means something happened quite recently. Something to make that chart a problem for you now. I've got her on the ropes. Now I can feel it. Time to strike the killing blow with evidence. Miss Tiala, there's no use trying to hide it. The chart became a threat to you now because of this. Bammo! A health checkup report belonging to the defendant. The Katakis are trying to get out of the business. The health checkup this month was their first ever. What did you think when you heard about this? Eh? Oh, nothing. Why should I think anything? Oh, I would think you were positively beside yourself. Because you were afraid you knew what Waki's chest x-ray would reveal. A full half-year had passed since the operation. You thought you were home free. When the chart came back to haunt you, That's all, Your Honor. What just happened? Did the witness just admit to lying? I sensed that there was a great aura emanating from her forehead. Very cool. So the lady was lying. It seems. That's correct. She said she had no connection to the Maractus Clinic, but her connection was deep indeed, a bit too deep. If the Kitakis got hold of this chart with her name, she'd be finished. Isn't that right, Miss Tiala? You guessed it. Orja! Did it. Broke her testimony. Amazing, Apollo. I didn't see it at all. Daddy was right about you. Wait. Miss Tiala? It's true that chart was bad news for me. That's why I went to meet the doctor that day. But that's all. I told him about walking and went home. It appears this cross-examination is far from over. What? She hides the truth from us. This is clear, yet it is not clear that this truth has anything to do with the case at hand. Very well, the witness will add this to her testimony. We'll have a bit more cross-examination. I was so close. You're still close. Keep on her, Apollo. No. Absolutely not. This fucking bullet. How did it get there? If you just, like, I doubt it was there before. You say nothing happened in the doctor's office. I disagree. Take a look at this. What's that? It looks like a squished up ball of clay. Kind of like you, actually. This bullet was found in the Maractus Clinic office. Something did happen in that office, Miss Tiala. Enough of this joking around. The police investigated that clinic. Ah, but this was struck inside the doctor's safe. Inside the safe? Guess the police didn't check that far. But there is a problem. How can you say that bullet was fired on that day? Weren't you the one who explained rifling marks to us? The pistol was taken from the Kitaki mansion that day. If the markings on this bullet match the murder weapon, well, it's also the fact of, like, if so, like, there was one gun that we know was used in this incident. So, like, they would have to prove, like, where the other bullet came from and what gun it came from. Then that proves a firearm was discharged in that office on the day of the murder. Not bad, Air Foreheads. Bailiff, have this bullet analyzed immediately. 30 minutes later, a report arrives. Rifling marks on both bullets are identical. Well, it seems as though the bullet in the safe was fired from the murder weapon. Perhaps the defense would like to state their position. The bullet in that safe proves one fact. The pistol was fired in the office on that day, and at the time of the firing, the safe was open. The safe which contained the top-secret chart. Do you think someone was threatening Dr. Maractus in order to open the safe? Only one person was in a position to do such thing. Our witness, Alita Tiala. Order! Mr. Justice, where are you going with this? Are you accusing the witness? Alita Tiala knew about Waki Kitaki's botched operation. She got engaged to him without telling him about it. As long as that bullet remained in his chest, his days were numbered. What if she married him, and then the bullet finally reached its destination? What? That reminds me. Apparently, the Kitakis have been asserting themselves in lawful business practices. They're making quite a great deal of money. A fortune, if you will. Nefarious. So she planned to marry him just to get her hands on this fortune? She's a gold digger. No. Oh. You keep talking trash about my Alita. Dude, stop being such a fucking simp. You idiot. And I'll sue you, lawyer man. Huh? Me? Yeah, you said you'd abuse my Alita. I think you mean accuse? Same difference. Well, you can't have her. She's mine. It was me. I shot that doctor. Me. He left me to die, so I left him to die, too. There in that park. Waki. Just cool down a second. You keep your hands off my Alita or I'll... Miss Tiala? I'm sorry, it's been so long since I've laughed so hard. Something funny? Waki, wake up and smell reality. Alita, baby? The signature on the chart, the engagement. I mean, come on, it's so obvious. Even for a brainless, spoiled brat such as yourself. Alita, your honesty is like a breath of foul air, Fräulein. Hey, I wasn't getting out of this clean anyway. So, the family fortune is what you're really after. That's right. I wanted the money. No way! That's whack! I ain't trying to hear that! Should have done the wedding earlier. Oh well. By the way, can I ask you a question? Who, me? I believe you said you were going to abuse me. Accuse. Of what crime, I'd ask? Huh? Oh, I'm a bad girl, sure. I got close to that brat because I wanted his money. But he was the one with the pistol. He could have fired into the safe after I had already left the clinic. What? I would never do a thing like that. It was definitely that silly brat. Wait, but... what are you talking about? Trucy, you had the most to lose if that chart was found. But I didn't have a pistol, now did I? Well, you could have taken walkies. You think he'd have mentioned that? No. All I've heard him say is, it was me, I shot him. That's only because he's trying to protect you. Sorry to intrude in this lovely conversation. But the two of you are forgetting one critical point. What? What point? Certainly the Fräulein wanted that chart. You assume she threatens the doctor into opening that safe, but then... wouldn't she have taken the chart? Oh? You see, that chart wouldn't have been left in that safe. He's right. Well, didn't she break in to get it? Come on, think. Miss Tiala, yes, is it clear to this court that you are not a very good fiancé? Oh, I'm flattered. Perhaps it's time you told us the truth. Tell us about yourself, including your actions and whereabouts on that day. Don't forget, we've proven that you were at the Maractus Clinic on the day of the crime. Woo. Water, hold on. See, when it gets intense like this, I need water. Yes, I went to clinic that day to speak to the doctor. I wanted that chart, but I failed to get it, so I went back to the clinic later. In any case, I didn't shoot him. You don't even have proof I stole that pistol, do you? And that brat was spotted in the park at the moment of the crime. Frankly, I don't think it matters if Dr. Maractus was shot in the temple or not. Went back later? That chart was dangerous, you understand. I needed to get rid of it. That's why I went that day. But you couldn't get the charts in, could you? And later that night, Dr. Maractus was shot. I heard about the shooting, waited a day, but then I had to go back. No easy feat with the cops all over the place. That was you! Apollo, that sound, it came from behind this door. Someone's in there. A break-in. They left through that window. So you were the burglar. That was you two? If only I had one more minute. Then I could have opened that safe and gotten a chart. What? That's trespassing, and brazen at that. Oh, this is a trial for trespassing now? Besides, You can't blame a girl for wanting to protect herself. They are gangsters, you know. In any case, Mr. Justice, your cross-examination. Meaning the little crime to avoid the big one, eh? We know she went to the clinic later, and in case I didn't shoot him, you don't even have proof I stole that pistol, do you? No, we do not. And that brat was spotted in the park at the moment of the crime, that's true. Frankly, I don't think it matters if Dr. Maractus was shot in the temple or not. Let's press her on that. What do you mean by that? The doctor was shot in the right temple, yes? So it seems. Let's review the facts again, shall we? It's me. If the killer shot from this location, the bullets would have struck our victim square in the forehead. However, the entry wound was in the right temple. Yes, we heard testimony on this yesterday. At the time of the shooting, the witness was standing here. Just before the gun was fired, he shouted. The victim turned his head to look and was shot. But that testimony was proven to be a lie. Our Agorius panty snatcher, Mr. Stickler, did witness the crime, but he was standing to the north, next to the trash can where he tossed those panties. If Mr. Stickler shot it from this location, the bullet couldn't hit his right temple. Silly, silly attorney. What? Do you remember what you had for breakfast that morning? Do you remember, Trucy? I always have a glass of milk for breakfast. What matters is one thing. The doctor was shot in his right temple. If that's the case, there can only be one explanation. The panties guy was mistaken. But his location was proven. You can't write that off as him being mistaken. Then why don't you show us our forehead? Show you what? Must I explain everything? Very well, let's recap. If the witness, panties guy, was standing to the north, then where was the shooter standing? From what location did the killer shoot the victim? But wait, if the witness was standing there, how could anyone shoot the victim in the right temple? I merely laid out the facts for us. It is up to the one possessing the shiny forehead to show us. If you can, that is. If you can, that is. Waki Kataki was standing at the killer mark. Wesley Stickler at the witness mark. And of course, Palmeractus was the victim mark. Let's hear what the defense has to say. Where was the killer standing when they shot the victim? Someplace else. As the facts stand now, we can't explain this crime without contradicting ourselves at some point. But I know why. The real killer shot from an entirely different location. What are you talking about? I don't see any other place. Apparently, Mr. Justice does. Let's hear it. Where in the park did the killer shoot the victim from? It's time to raise the roof and the stakes. Eh? Penalties are such frightening things, don't you think? But what if they were a bit more terrifying? Like so. Wow, they really love doing that. The double penalty? Forehead wishes to take us in a new direction. Then he must be ready for the challenges ahead. Challenge accepted. It's justice time. Are you sure, Apollo? The key is the witness, Mr. Stickler's testimony. We believe that, and we know where he stood. And the victim turned when he shouted. There's only one place the killer could have been. The killer shot the victim from here. I believe we all owe a debt of gratitude. To Miss Alita Tiala. What do you mean? Thanks to you, we had a chance to review the crime. And this time, we were prepared. We know that Wesley Stickler was telling the truth. We should have listened to him from the beginning. Wesley Stickler was standing next to the trash can when he saw the two men. He shouted just as he told us in his testimony. And the victim turned to look in his direction. A shot was fired. The victim was hit in the right temple. Oh no! Oh yes! Which direction was his right temple facing at that moment? That's right, toward the noodle stand. Order, order, order! So you're saying the killer was inside the noodle stand? Let's think about this a bit more, shall we? You say the killer was inside the noodle stand, which would mean the victim, Dr. Maractus, came to the park, wheeling his own murderer in the cart behind him. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I think you'd notice if you were pulling someone along. There's something we should worry about before that. Why was he pulling the noodle stand in the first place? Let's deal with our problems one at a time, shall we? Someone was hiding in the stand. We have not come this far to talk about possibilities. Let's talk about proof, baby. Show us evidence that proves someone was in that stand. Can I prove that? You want evidence that someone else was in the stand? Well, I got it. I've got it right here. Show us proof that someone was hiding in the noodle stand. The Maractus Clinic, and they are covered with paint. These slippers were found in the trash can near the crime scene, and a single slipper print was found at the scene, right next to the noodle stand. Oh, and Miss Tiala, your toe print was found in the left slipper. In other words, this is proof you were inside that noodle stand. Yet there was only one slipper mark found at the scene. Can this be called a footprint in good faith? Observe the diagram. A park pathway runs right next to the slipper mark. A slipper wouldn't leave a trace on a cobblestone path. Yet you still cannot say this is a footprint, yeah? Why not? You have an impression that by a single slipper. What if it was on the stand and simply fell to the ground? That's just dumb. One more thing. A noodle stand is typically covered with the tools of the noodle-making trade. There's no room for a person to ride in there. You have a point. But someone would have hidden in that stand. Paulo, I think I might be onto something. I think I figured out one of our pieces of evidence. In order to make room in the stand, some things would have to be... Well, Mr. Justice, do you have proof that someone could have hidden in the stand? I can prove one thing. Someone did scheme to clear space in that stand. It's this bowl, baby. The bowl was found on the ground where the cart was gone, after it was gone. This is a noodle bowl from the stolen Eldoon's noodle stand. Yes, and what about it? We discovered a large quantity of these bowls yesterday, in the lobby of the Maractus Clinic. Large quantity of noodle bowls in the victim's clinic? Mr. Eldoon was very clear about these bowls. Well, I don't care who did it. Without that stand, I'm finished. All my noodle bowls were in there too. Yet the bowls were removed. That night, there was space inside that noodle stand. Space created at the Maractus Clinic, no less. right around the time that you were there, Miss Alita Tiala. Stop! I won't listen to any more of these wild fantasies. No, not fantasies. They're worse lies than that spoiled brat's pickup lines. I would like to remind the witness of her current status. This court does not consider you entirely innocent. Show me an innocent, I'll show you a fairy tale. In any case, the defense has somehow made its point. The witness had both a motive and an opportunity to kill Dr. Maractus. More fairy tales. This whole trial is a fairy tale. Then please pull us back down to reality, Miss Tiala. I'm giving you one last chance to explain yourself. This is it. Why was Dr. Maractus pulling that stand that night? And what was Alita Tiala doing inside it? Time to get to the bottom of this case. That night, I went to ask Dr. Maractus for the chart. I had no intention of ever letting the chart fall into the Kataki family's hands. But Dr. Maractus didn't understand. For some reason, he thought the Katakis had sent me. So I gave up and went home. All I did was talk to him. You knew about that botched operation, so you tried to get rid of the chart to save yourself. I won't make excuses. And I did warn the good doctor. I gave him a chance. I told him that brat got his health checkup report, and that he was coming to settle the score. I see. Very well, Mr. Justice. Begin your cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. This is the last testimony. Either I perceive the truth, or it's over. All I did was talk and lie. What? Show me proof. I'm pretty sure about this one. I think I'm getting the hang of this. A little slip in confidence and they give it all away. The proof is you, Miss Tiala. All I did was talk to him, you claim. Yet you can't hide your own nervous twitch when you say those words. My twitch? What are you talking about? You have a habit of scratching that area of your neck around the edge of your scarf. Well, what? This is working better than I'd hoped. Her unconscious actions tell the truth she won't say. Habits and lies, 2 dots. Connect the dots and find the truth. But don't look at me like that. I told you the truth. It seems that when you recall what really happened in that office, you can't keep your hands off your neck, can you? It seems that nervous habits are unconscious reactions that manifest when someone is trying to hide something. You can't hide behind your scarf, Miss Tiala. Something happened between you and the victim in the Maractus Clinic office. And I've got proof that shows exactly what happened. Take that! This lamp had blood on it. What's that? You're touching your scarf again. There's something unusual about this lamp. The bulb is broken. There's a red splotch on the cord. Seeing how you hide your neck, I think I could come up with a plausible explanation for the lamp's state. Well, spit it out. This talking in circles nonsense is killing me. Very well. The answer is very simple, Miss Alita Tiala. Please remove your scarf. This is a trial to determine what happened in that pub, yet we seem to have drifted off target. We'll find out soon enough if we're drifting, as soon as the witness removes her scarf. I won't do it. This is insane. Unrelated third party. You can't order me to remove... Miss Tiala, I'm afraid you forgot what's already been proven. What? You're hardly unrelated. Please remove your scarf. No! I knew it. So I was right, wasn't I, Miss Alita Tiala? Your neck. That isn't what I think it is. Something did happen that night at the Maractus Clinic. You need to get that chart back no matter what it took. Even if you had to steal your fiancé's pistol to do it. But wait, looking at this lamp and the witness's neck, it looks like the very opposite happened. Exactly. The victim in the clinic that night was this witness specifically. You tried to threaten Dr. Maractus, and he attacked you. That's what happened that night at the Maractus Clinic. Order! Will someone please tell me what really happened? I told you the truth already. I went to the clinic that night to warn Dr. Maractus. That gangster knows everything. He's coming for you. Looks like my clinic's seen its last patient. We have to get rid of that chart. Quick, open your safe. Give it to me. So you can save your own skin. What? I know what you're up to. You want in with the family. And if they see that chart, you're finished. Leaving me holding the short straw. But if I'm going down, I'll want some company. You. And what happened next? He jumped at me and knocked me to the floor. Then he took that cord. How Maractus was serious. Deadly serious. He really tried to strangle me. I must have blacked out. So you were the victim. And the red splotch on the cord was your lipstick. I didn't want to remember that night. That's why I didn't bring it up. Are you happy now? Eh? I was out cold, almost killed. And you claim I then snuck into that noodle stand. But how could I? Ah! Well, one thing is clear. We now know what really happened at the Maractus Clinic. It would seem that our victim was not entirely without blame himself. I'm sorry. I get so nervous just thinking of it. It's hard to breathe. I've told you everything. Can I go home now? You bear some responsibility for events that day, true. Yet if you were also a victim, this court would owe you some sympathy. Well, Mr. Justice, I believe this clears up the remaining questions for Miss Tiala. When did this happen? Suddenly everyone's sympathizing with her. I don't know what to think anymore, Apollo. I mean, is that it? Do we know everything we need to know about Miss Tiala? Very well, this finishes the combination of this. Not so fast. This party's just getting started. Now we rock! What? Those spikes on your head are softer than they look. Or do you not have the stomach to go all the way? Prosecutor Gavin? Maractus choked Alita Tiala. She fell unconscious. But what happened next? He's right. There is more we don't know. But she was choked hard enough to leave that mark. She would have been out for a while. Even still, what if it was her in that noodle stand? Alita Tiala, half dead, Dr. Maractus pulling that stand, and a bullet fired from inside the noodle stand. What if it's all true? We might have already figured out what truly happened that night. Miss Alita Tiala, as you can see, we're not through with you just yet. You really want to blame me for this murder, don't you? You too. excuse me, you too, Prosecutor Gavin? Me, Fraulein, I only wish to know the truth. Well, let's go back over what we learned up till now. On the day of the murder, Walkie saw his checkup report, from which he learned about the bullet still inside him. So he took a pistol from the family stash, with the intent to give Dr. Maractus some of his own medicine. And Miss Tiala heard about this from Walkie, so she went to Maractus' clinic ahead of him, in order to get rid of the chart with her signature. But then something happened. Sounds like you figured it all out. But remember, I was the victim. I was out cold. But what about Dr. Maractus? That does seem to be the problem. He had just strangled Lita Tiala. Perhaps he thought to death. What did he do after his crime? I was just knocked out, not dead. From the state of his clinic and the scene in the park, I think it's clear what the good doctor did next. Well, Air Forehead, care to guess? Well, Mr. Justice, what did Maractus do? He did think he killed Alina. Do I have evidence to show that what he did next? Yes, he used the stand. He used the noodle stand to try to dispose of her body. Like, if he thought she was dead, as his next move, Dr. Maractus stole Guy Eldun's noodle stand. What, killing me disturbed him that much? So much he randomly stole a noodle stand? It wasn't so random. Remember, all the bowls in the clinic's foyer. Bowls that belonged inside that stand. I think it's pretty obvious, don't you? That stand was at the clinic. However, the question is, why did he remove the bowls? Maybe because the stand was heavy. Or he wanted to put something in the stand in their place. Ah, wait, you don't mean... I do. Dr. Maractus did replace those bowls with something. Your corpse, Miss Tiala. But my corpse? Dr. Maractus panicked. He thought he killed you. His next move would be to dispose of the body. That's crazy talk. You're all crazy. Then let's think about it. Logically, the doctor had a place to dispose of you in mind. But on his way there, who should he run into but the defendant, Walkie Katana? I question your logic. What's this, Prosecutor Gavin? The park is a dead end. Why would he head in that direction to begin? That's right. He had no reason to go there. Oh, now I get it. It was a trick. That spoiled brat made him do it. He made the doctor steal the stand. No proof for that. Tell me, why would someone go to a dead end? Unless the park was his destination. What? What? Apparently the French has an idea. Tell us where Dr. Maractus was heading with the stand. Here, please show us on this diagram. To where exactly is this victim dragging that stand? Well, this river, of course, right here. There, that's a river. Yes, Your Honor, I scarcely need to explain why. A perfect place to dispose of a body. He was going to throw me into that river? He didn't have many other options, Fraulein. I believe this clears up all of the remaining questions. The victim pulling the stand and the defendant before him. And inside the stand, you, Miss Lita Tiala. And then the denouncement. Weasley Stickler of panty-snatching fame walks up. Seeing the two men, he shouts. In that instant, so, I shot him. You were the only one who could have stolen Walkie's pistol. It had to be you. Well, Miss Tiala? Nice work. You mean I'm right? I mean, you've done a fine job dreaming up a story. To get that spoiled brat off the hook. You're the one who's dreaming. Apollo's backed up everything he said with facts. If you're so sure he's making it up, give us another reason. Why was Dr. Maractus pulling that stand through the park? Who knows? But there's one gaping hole in your logic. I think Mr. Gavin knows whereof I speak. Whereof what? Can't believe you're still trying to deny this. Is this true, Prosecutor Gavin? Must I always be the one to point out Herr Forehead's errors? Maybe there really is something. I believe the Fraulein speaks of Herr Doctor's car. His car? That's right, the Maractus Clinic has that big garage. In which sat a green sports car, was it? Why would he steal the stand in the first place? If he wanted to carry a body, he would have used his car. And so if he finds our victim without probable cause to steal that stand, and our defense without a case. I have an idea. You know that green car? I bet it wouldn't run. It was broken. What's an excellent counter-argument, Fraulein. Too bad you're quite wrong. Eh? Don't tell me you've forgotten what happened to your daddy. Daddy? That's right, that night. The car that hit Mr. Wright. Was that green sports car? Oh yes, I'd nearly forgotten about it. Afterward, he drove it back to that garage. It ran fine. That's right. So why didn't he use his beloved sports car, A glaring contradiction, to be sure. More glaring than your forehead. No. No! Order, order, order. Well, Mr. Justice, why didn't Dr. Maractus use his car to carry the body? Is that a groan of surrender I hear? Some advice. Now's a good time to reveal all you know. Everything you've learned over the last 2 days. Everything I've learned? Mr. Justice, this contradiction cast doubt on your entire case. This is truly your last chance. The defense will explain to us what happened that night. I have an idea. It's all coming together. That night, Dr. Maractus couldn't use his car. Now you're making even less sense than usual. Not according to my information, Miss Tiala. Put one and one together and the explanation is simple. It shows you perhaps you could show us some evidence. Show us proof why the car wouldn't run that night. Take that! Let's see now. Panties again? All sorts of things come out of my panties. Even the truth. Another crime was committed the night of the murder. The theft of these panties, the latest in a string of similar thefts, actually. But that night, the snatcher was caught in the act. A brave young girl chased the thief until he hid. In the Maractus Clinic garage. What? The snatcher hid the panties there before running. Perhaps someone in this court remembers where he hid them. Why, were they found in the car's exhaust pipe? Exactly. By the way, I learned something yesterday. A very important piece of information. And I learned it from you, Prosecutor Gavin. So you were here investigating? And I was on my way home when my hog gave up the ghost. Your hog? My motorcycle won't start. A clogged exhaust pipe. Too bad, it looks like it's on a spike too. Hard to believe that could break just from that. Cars, motorbikes, they're all the same. Clogs the exhaust and they won't run. My, how interesting. While Miss Tiala and the doctor were struggling, the panty snatcher snuck into the Maractus garage. From that time until the time we found these, that car wouldn't start. What? That's why Dr. Maractus had to use the noodle stand. It's the next closest thing he could think of. Well, Miss Tiala? This wraps your doubts quite nicely, I think. So it does. Guys, I really hated to end it here, but we're at time. So that will be the end of this for now. And next time on the Great Ace Attorney, we will find out what really happened and what she really did. Wow, guys, what a final showdown for the case. And of course, Gavin ended up honestly helping us a little bit, surprisingly enough. Quite surprising, I would say, but I knew it was Tiala the whole time. It was pretty obvious. It was just how, why, and what. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Please have a like, comment, and subscribe to Brony Time for more content, especially more Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. Also, make sure to share this video far and wide so we can get as many eyes on it as possible. And I will see you all next time.